By the time you're seeing this video, the World Baseball Classic will have already started. The first games will have just been underway, and we've already seen the full jerseys. And we've already seen the full jerseys. However, what we're going to do here today, we are going to rank all 20 caps for each single nation in the World Baseball Classic. I'm going to rank them which one's the best, which one's the worst, and everything in between, because we're doing a tier list on the WBC hats right here on Bleacher Brawls. Let's get straight into it. My name is Derek. You're watching Bleacher Brawls, and let's get straight into it. Here's our tier list as we get into this. We're going to just kind of take the list that's here. This originally came with tiers S, A, B, C, and D. I added an F tier in case we need it. We may not need it. We will see. Here are the 20 hats, and each of them all are labeled too, which is nice. We're going to do it in the order they're already in, kind of random order. No order about it. Just kind of do it how it goes. We're going to try and list these. S tier is the best. Obviously, F tier is the worst. So yeah, let's dive straight into this. We're going to start with the Chinese Taipei. Or Taipei, or however you pronounce it. My pronunciation is on many things isn't good, so if I'm off a little bit, I apologize. But for them, they're hosting it. Obviously, Taiwan gets to host the group stage, the country of Taiwan. So for the Chinese Taipei, for me, I like their hat. It's not amazing. It's okay though. However, I'm probably gonna put it in C tier to start. I feel like it's solid, but it's not great. And there are already a couple hats with a similar color to that I like more. So I'm gonna put that in the C tier. And for me, I mean, that's just kind of how I feel about it. Because there are other hats that have a similar color. Moving on to Japan. Japan's hat, I like it. I do like the color of it, honestly. I kind of like that. Like, it's not black, but it's not gray, but it's a darker color. I don't know exactly how to I don't know what color. Maybe it's a little bit blue. I don't really dark. I don't know. But I like the color. I like the J, just having that simple J. It's not too much, but I like the kind of almost like font of it, I guess. That's the right way to pan it. I like Japan's hat. I'm putting this in A tier. Personally, I really, really like it. I think it works very well. And I think it matches their jerseys. If you haven't seen the jerseys, I do think that will match their jerseys very well. Moving on to the United States, the USA, good old USA, obviously. My home nation, I don't know about any of you guys watching this, whatever nations you could be from, but US is my home nation, as is for the whole Bleacher Brawls crew, with the exception of our graphic designer Alvaro. So on behalf of the group, I like this US hat. The logo I'm not the craziest fan of. It's but it's solid. But the logo kind of knocks it down to B tier. I just don't love the logo. Honestly, the US logo. I don't love it. I'd rather have something a little simpler, you know. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I like it maybe a little simpler. I don't know. I just don't like it. I feel like maybe a little too much going on in just the hat logo. So I'm not crazy over it. Moving on to Puerto Rico, I like this one a lot. It's a similar kind of blue color to Chinese Taipei. Similar. And you'll see it with a bunch of hats as we go. There's a lot of hats have these similar blue color. For me, this Puerto Rico hat's going in the A tier. I like it. I think it's solid all around. There's nothing crazy about it, but it's a nice solid hat, and I like it. Moving on to the Netherlands, the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Obviously, you won't see a lot of just straight Dutch players playing. You'll see a lot of guys from the Caribbean islands. Alexander Bogart's from Aruba, and a bunch of guys from Curacao. There is some actual Dutch, like from the Netherlands players there, from Holland. But for me, this Netherlands hat, I like the orange on black a lot. I'm a big fan of that. I like kind of like the crown. I like that a lot. I don't think there's a lot of bad hats here. And for me, I don't know. I like how the hat works. It's you know, I I like black hats. I'm wearing my D-backs hat. It's black hat. I like having a black hat, and I really like the orange on black. This one's really close. I like this more than Japan and Puerto Rico, but I don't think it's quite S tier. I think it's A tier. I do have one hat that I like more than that, and I don't want to put two in S tier. So I'm gonna keep it in A tier. As we move on to Korea, Korea is a very interesting one. Another blue hat, kind of that blue color to see with a lot of these countries, a lot of blue. The K, I like kind of the fonting of it. If you really look closely, maybe I'm the only person who is, but if you look really, really closely, you can maybe get like a stick figure throwing a baseball almost, or some sort of stick figure. If you look super close and you really try and find it, but it's probably not the intention of it, honestly. It's probably just me overlooking things. But I think it's solid. I'm putting this in the B tier. I like it. It's not crazy, but it's definitely very good. And that's why it goes in the B tier, just below the US, because like I'm not a massive fan of the blue hats, honestly. I'm just not crazy over it. Moving on to Mexico. I love the green with the red kind of brim. I like that. The green kind of hat, red brim. I'm cool with that. The M just really throws me off. I feel like I don't know, that just it feels like the old school Mariners, maybe, if I'm remembering correctly, just without like the what they have. I don't know. It's just I don't know. This feels very like off to me. It feels like the M's like just it feels like that M is really just an upside down like W. Like however, I don't want my W's like two V's, like two V's, like kind of curt, like they look more like two U's. That's how like that looks. It looks like the Hartford Whalers old logo with a W, except it doesn't have like the fin and it just flip it upside down, obviously. That's how I feel about it. So it's going in the C tier for me. It's above Chinese Taipei, but it's not great. And I feel like there's a lot of potential from Mexico, and I don't feel they fit out of the park. I think this hat is very similar to the 2017 one. Just not a big fan of it, especially the M. The M just kind of bothers me for whatever reason. Moving on to Venezuela. I kind of like, I don't know. I like how the font and the V, I like how it looks. I think it looks cool. I'm not a big fan of the color of the hat. Obviously, I get it, but I'm not crazy over it. This one is kind of like borderline for me. Um, because I'm not crazy. I don't love it. Um, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I would have liked to see in Venezuela and maybe like because their flag has yellow, blue, and red. Maybe some yellow, maybe, or maybe I don't say I don't only love the blue hats, but like a darker blue maybe could work. There's a lot of like regular kind of blue, I think, but if like a darker blue, maybe I don't know if that would fit. But maybe like if they could have incorporated yellow somehow. I mean, maybe I just like yellow. I don't know. Even that kind of color they have, like the maroonish color, it feels like they should have maybe gone with red instead of maroon. I don't really like maroon. I know I'm wearing a maroon shirt right now, so what can I really say? It's just the first shirt I grabbed out of my closet this morning. But yeah, I'm not crazy with maroon. I think this probably ends up in the D tier, although maybe that's just how I feel today. If you ask me a different day, I might flip flop that in the Chinese Taipei, which is why I put Chinese Taipei in C. Next up, it's Cuba. I'm not gonna lie, this is my least favorite right here. I do not like this at all. Just it's not similar blue, but I don't know, red brim. I don't. It feels like the Dominican Republic hat where they slightly change the colors and then put a C with like the worst font there. So for me, this is it's an F. I don't like it. I do not like it. Like I feel like they could have done something different, maybe like incorporated some more white, maybe, or I don't know what they could have done, but I don't know. I don't like it. It feels like almost it's like feels like they slightly changed the colors of the Dominican hat and then put like a terrible font C. At least like make the C look good. Like I didn't that feels like a super generic C. They're just like, and that's whatever. They just randomly find like they search like the most generic font and they just put it on the hat. That's how I feel about it. I don't like it. Maybe that's just me. Moving on to Australia. I This Australia is weird because I know they have that green yellow kind of color combo, which I'm not a crazy fan of, but there sometimes it works. Um, it's kind of that darker green with yellow, which I'm not a crazy fan of, like darker green, like a really dark green like Australia is. But honestly, I think I really like this hat. I like how they have the logo and they incorporated the stars. I really like that a lot. So for me, this one's going in the top of C. And I'm normally not a big fan of, that kind of green color. But considering it's Australia, and I really like the logo on this hat. I really, really, really do like it. So I think for it fits perfectly at the top of C. And I think it's better than Mexico and Chinese Taipei. It's definitely not at the same level the US and Korea's hats are though. But it will fit perfectly in that C, at that top of C. And I feel confident about that. Moving on, next up is Colombia. And I feel like this one had more potential too. I feel like this had more potential. I feel like this is very similar to the Venezuela hat, where it's like it could have done maybe gone for a little bit of a different look. It's similar to Cuba. I don't really love the kind of the font they've used for the C. It feels very similar to the Japan font, but the J actually looks good on Japan, at least to me, and the C just looks a little too bulky almost. So it's in D tier. It's very interchangeable with Venezuela for me. I'd probably still put it below Venezuela. But it finds itself in that D tier. Now looking at this, we got the Dominican Republic, and I like it. It's solid. I don't necessarily love having like the red and white kind of both kind of lettering different letters, but I also do kind of like it at the same time. You know, the blue with the red. I feel like Cuba was just copying them almost. But no, I do like the Dominican hat. I also Cuba really can't stand it just because it's like a lame C. And the DR, I like the lettering on the D and the R, and I just like how it kind of like mixes together well. The Dominican is a top of B hat and maybe even low A. We'll see. By the time I get to the end, I might slightly change things, but I do like the Dominican hat. I just don't love it. Next up is Italy, another one of these blue hats. Yeah, there's a gazillion of them. Let's be honest. And I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like just an eye on a hat is very weird, and it's like a skinny eye too. It's I don't know how I honestly I don't fully know how I feel about it. I'm gonna put it in C though. I feel like it's better than Chinese Taipei. It's not as good as Korea when you look at the blue hats. It's definitely not as good as Puerto Rico. It's better than Chinese Taipei. It's better than Cuba. Even like you look at Colombia, I think it's better than Colombia. So it finds itself in that C category for me. Not great. It's not bad though. I understand what they were doing. There's a gazillion blue hats here. I don't know. I just don't love the Chinese to pay how the C and the T look together. I don't love that honestly. So that's what puts it over that, and but it's not going to beat Korea for me. Um, 'Cause it's just a very generic eye, right? And it feels like could have maybe had a little bit more creativity. Maybe Italy doesn't have like a blue hat. Maybe Italy could have gone with like I don't know. I know that I'm pretty sure there. I don't know. I mean, maybe they could have gone with a different color. Maybe. I'm not sure. But it's all right. It's solid. I think that's fair. Next up is China. This hat, it's a red hat. It's our first red hat that we have. Obviously, Canada's coming up. Venezuela is more of a maroonish color. Look at the China hat. The C is interesting. I know some people like it, some people don't. I kind of teeter totter. It's all right for me. Um, I think it's okay. I think it's better than Chinese Taipei, Venezuela, Colombia, Cuba. It's definitely not in that A tier. It's probably not in that B tier. The big thing for me is where does it fall in the C tier? Because it is solid. It's just not, I'm not crazy over it, right? I'm not crazy, right? So when I look at this and I look at this China hat, I probably put it in C and I probably put it in between Italy and Mexico. That's where I think it fits. And I think it works. And honestly, I see that. I think that's a perfect spot for it. Honestly, just kind of right smack dab in the middle. Next up is Canada. I like this Canada hat. I like having the leaf on there. Instead of just having like a C or whatever. That's why I really like the Netherlands one. It's different. Although this Canada one, it's red again. Red's not my favorite hat color, but it still can work, right? And I think Canada does a very good job of making it work. And I do really like it. I love the leaf. I like it just not being a letter. And I said the US one was a little complicated because it was like designed with a letter. Although some of these I've said are a little too simple, maybe. I don't know. But Canada, I do really like this one. It's going to the bottom end of A, of that A tier. Still below Puerto Rico, Japan, Netherlands, but it's going to the bottom end of A tier. Next up, we have our second to last blue hat. Somehow we're still on these. We still got a gazillion blue hats. Israel is up next. I really like it. They've taken I don't know what the right term for emblem or whatever from like their flag and they put it on their hat. I don't know if that's the right term. but I think you kind of pick up what I'm saying. The star thing, I don't know what it's called. Honestly, I'm not that up to date on my knowledge of that kind of stuff. But you know what? The logo on the hat, I like that. I like it. It looks good. Um, it's nothing crazy. I like it better than just putting. I mean, they couldn't just put an eye because it looked too similar to Italy. So I do like that. And then again, I don't think it's nothing crazy. But I still think it's very solid and it's different. I kind of like that it's different. It's going in C tier though, right behind Australia. I'm starting to think about putting Australia up into the B tier. Honestly, yeah, I'm putting Australia in the B tier because I do like that Australia hat. I like it. The more I look at it, the more I like it. Next up is Panama. Finally, something different. We're gonna have the white front with like I think that's blue or like a darker blue around the side and back. You got a red brim. I do like it. The only thing that holds us back is just having a plain P on it. A plain P. It feels like a very old school hat, so maybe it makes sense, right? But it's just like that plain P is just like, I want something more creative to kind of mix the old school kind of vibe with like a new school kind of like logo, and that looks really cool. But it's still solid, right? I still think it's solid. So I'm gonna put it right in the middle here, between Mexico and China. Because I do really like the old school salad, but I think there was a lot of potential for it. I think it fell short. Now we have our last three. We have the Czech Republic, and I really like this Czech Republic hat. It looks almost like it makes kind of like a home, it looks like the shape that's almost like making a home plate almost. But I love the lettering. Feels a little bit similar to like certain like Diamondbacks lettering almost at time. Like I don't know how to explain it. I really like it though. I do really, really, really like it. I really like the logo. The hat's not too crazy. The logo is nice and it's different, but it looks really good. This is my favorite hat by far. What's that? Something B. It's going in A tier without a doubt. I love that hat, and it's just work. It just works for me. I really, really, really like that. Moving on to Great Britain. I think it's a solid. The GB. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it looks. It's you know, it's nothing crazy. I think it's like solid. It's all right. Considering I have a lot of steam to move Chinese Taipei down to D, and I'm gonna put Great Britain. They're going in that C category. They're going in between Panama and China. I think they're better than China and Italy. But they're not better than Panama, not better than Mexico, not better than Israel. So that's where I find them. Last but not least, Nicaragua, and it's another blue hat. They all got blue hats, I guess. This one, I'm fine with it, honestly. Like, I think it's one of the ones that's solid. Like, you can't really go wrong with it, with just having the N there. But it feels very similar to Italy. It's going right next to Italy. I like Italy's a little better just because I feel like this N is almost too big, maybe. It's like because maybe I don't know. I don't like the fact that it's so simple, but it's so big at the same time. Whereas the I, it's big, but it's not like it's not thick and really covering like the whole hat. It feels. I feel like that N takes up a lot of space. Um, but yeah, I think it's all right. It's okay. Could be better, could be worse. Overall, I can't really complain about it, right? It's just it's decent, right? That's why it's in the C tier. Looking back at this now, as we finish this up, I actually do want to move a couple things around. I'm moving Netherlands up into the S tier. Because I think it's definitely second in that S tier. For me, I like it. I'm gonna move Dominican up into the A tier and Israel up into the B tier. It's kind of moving, bump those up one because they are very close to me, being up in that next level. So I will put them up in that next level. Also, it makes it look a little more even, I guess. Personal preference, maybe me a little crazy. I can't move Nicaragua or Italy down. It's like I feel like if I move one down, I got to move both down, and I don't really want to move both down. I think they're both solid, not great, but they're solid, right? And then that's how I feel about it. I think the Czech Republic is 100% the best hat here. I do really like the Netherlands just because I like having like a black hat. I do really like the orange on the black. Then it's Japan, Puerto Rico, Canada, Dominican Republic in that A tier. The B tier, the US, Korea, Australia, and Israel. The more I look at Australia, the more and more I just want to keep on pushing it up, honestly. Screw it. It's going to the top of B tier. I really, really, really like it. The more I look at it, the more I like it. And the more and more I look at it, like I've looked at it before, but I've never looked at it, like continuously looked at it. The more I look at it, the more I like it. C tier, Mexico, Panama, Great Britain, China, Italy, and Nicaragua. They're all solid. I think they all could have done better. So that's also why they're in the C tier. Maybe they could have done a little bit better, a little bit more creative. Mexico and Panama, I think both had a really, really big potential and they didn't really hit it. D tier is Chinese Taipei, Venezuela, Colombia. Chinese Taipei, it's the worst out of just the all blue with the blue brim and hat. It's the worst. Colombia, the C is kind of weird. I don't really like it. Venezuela, I don't love the maroonish kind of color. I'm not crazy about it. And then Cuba, it feels like it's just a copy of the Dominican Republic with a terrible C in it. So that is my tier list, and we're calling this the official Bleacher Brawls 2023 World Baseball Classic cap tier list. That's gonna be it. So let me know in the comments what hats are your favorite, which one do you not like, do you agree with me, disagree with me? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to check out all links in the description, the Bleacher Brawls website, podcast, Instagram, and Twitter, plus all the cruise Twitters. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're in the middle of our 40 videos in 40 days. So leading all the way up to opening day and through that Friday after opening day. So stay here, watch all the videos. We have a bunch of team profiles coming up. So make sure to tune in. If you missed those, they're all up. If you missed some of them, they're all up on the YouTube channel. I think we're at 12 or 13 that have been uploaded. Still got a bunch left. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching Bleacher Brawls. My name is Derek, and I'll see you next time.